girl, welcome to the Win a Pageant podcast. I'm your host, Alycia Darby. Today, I get to introduce you to Megan Tower. Megan is the president and CEO of Tower Talent. She's got studios in Long Island, New York, and also my home, San Diego, California. She's been developing and marketing actors and models and performers for over 13 years. She has a ton of experience, and she's helped place those talented individuals with top agents and casting companies from around the world. Now, I know that often pageant women see a bigger dream of working in the entertainment industry, and pageantry might be your way in. So in this episode, Megan and I talk about the steps that you actually need to take to get into the industry, like how do you build a career around this. And she's also going to share with you the top 5 things that talent agents are actually really looking for. And she gets super specific in this episode, so get out your notepad, get ready to take some notes, and really learn these tips. Now, I also want to let you know in advance that when we were recording this over Skype, my technology had a bit of a hiccup. So this episode, you're actually only going to see her side of the video. You're not going to be able to see mine, but I promise I'm smiling the entire time. So without further ado, please welcome Megan Tower. Hey, Megan, thank you so much for being on the Win a Pageant podcast. Welcome.
Hi, Alycia. How are you?
I'm so good. I'm thrilled to have you on and to share a lot of insights about talent agents and the entertainment industry and everything that goes into that. I know when my husband met you at a real estate event, believe it or not, like several months ago, he was like, you have to meet Megan. She does exactly, he was explaining that you do for people who want to get in the industry what I do for people who want to win pageants. And so
Exactly.
I'd love for you to share a little bit more about Tower Talent. How did you get into this? What made you decide to create Tower Talent? And how do you help women actually get into the industry?
Sure. Well, that's a loaded question.
It is.
But when I was younger, I was just very outgoing, youngest of 6 kids. So I was always told to be quiet, and I was always singing and dancing around my house, and just got into that when I was younger, school plays, dance competitions, performing, danced professionally in college and afterwards as well. And I always knew that I wanted to be a part of the television industry somehow or some way. Grew up right outside Manhattan, so I had a lot of access to going to live tapings, to television shows, and that was always really exciting for me. So I just knew I wanted to be a part of it somehow, not necessarily in front of the camera, what have you, just figure out a way to get involved. So I went to a really amazing college, private school, upstate New York for communications, radio, television, and film. And that is such a huge genre right there. So I was trying to kind of pinpoint exactly how to get involved in the business. And then lo and behold, I started scouting talent for, a company later on. And then it gave me the inspiration to start my own. And I actually had worked for MTV back in the day when I was, my late teens. And then I worked for Interscope Records in Manhattan. So I've developed a lot of talented musicians. And then, like I said, starting my own company in 2010, just kind of giving that gift to everybody else of helping them develop their talents and getting them out there in the business.
Wow. So Tower Talent, it essentially prepares people who want to get into this industry. Am I right?
Yes, exactly. So we find people that have ever, been in the business before, or they're completely brand new and they don't know how to get started. And we give them the skills that they need to succeed. So we, help polish them up and get them ready to be presented to the top agents, casting directors, and producers who we hold relationships with. And those people actually come to us. So the agents, the casting companies, the talent managers, producers, they visit our studio. I've got one here in San Diego and another one in New York as well. And they look at our roster of talent. Like I said, some are just starting out. Some have been in the business and now they're kind of getting back into it. and they just kind of cherry pick from whoever they need on their roster, and that's how we get them started in the business.
Wow, it is interesting because the entertainment industry is, a multi-billion-dollar industry, and
yeah.
it's also just so enticing. It's like a sexy industry. Everybody wants to be on camera,
right.
and you want to be in front of the crowd, and that whole thing. But it is not easy to get into. No. Because you've been on the other side of it as you were growing, and as you mentioned, like as a performer, really honing your own talents and skills. And now
right.
on the other side of it, having relationships with the who's who in the industry and the talent that's ready to kind of break into that. So could you just first, I want to just help people understand the process for an individual that wants to be on TV in some way or be in commercials or become an actress or whatever. Can you really talk about the career process of someone? How do they get in?
Yeah. So, there's a big difference between, like you said, having that allure of wanting to be on TV and just sitting on your couch and dreaming about it, or actually taking action and going forward with the steps necessary to be successful in this business, because it is very competitive and you've got to get yourself in there and start making connections and hopefully, getting on that path. So, the first things first, you need to have professional headshots. We've got amazing photographers that we work with here. And it's also about getting the right headshot as well. You don't just want to have a pretty picture of yourself, but you really need to know your typecast, everything physical about you, the types of parts that you would play, the types of products that you would sell. And so kind of figuring out a way to create an image of yourself that's going to sell in this industry. So that's number one. You definitely need to have a resume, start building that, whether you just have an accumulation of different jobs that you've done, whether they're amateur or professional, start, getting that all on one page so that when you are meeting an agent or a manager and they want to know what you've been up to, they don't have a lot of time. So it's just 1, 2, 3, it's right on a piece of paper and it says exactly what you've already done or what you're working towards. So you really want to start building your resume. You've got to get professional photos. Those are essentially your marketing tools. And then training.
Oh yeah, go ahead. Okay. So training is the third piece.
Yeah, so training is huge. That's a big part of what we do here. We have acting classes, modeling classes, singing classes, image development classes to help you prepare so that you're constantly working on your craft and becoming more professional. Instead of, like I said, just kind of dreaming about it in your head, you've got to, practice your craft. And then that will show once you start going on auditions.
Yeah. So I love this because what you're sharing right now is everything that comes even before the idea of possibly going to an audition to maybe book a gig, right? So there's so much work involved. I say often to my clients, there's a big difference between the dreamers and the doers. The doers are the people that take action. The dreamers are the ones who are going to sit and think about it for 20 years and then their time will pass.
Right. You can't just wait, at Starbucks for Steven Spielberg to hand you his business card and say, oh my gosh, you're so beautiful. Here's a check for $1 million. You're going to be in my next major motion picture. It just doesn't happen that way. So you've got to, like you said, start taking action, start getting with a great company. Of course, Tower Talent would be the perfect option. But if you don't live in San Diego or New York, finding a place that's going to give you support so that you can get all of your tools together, you feel confident, and then you start getting yourself out there so that you are ready for auditions to book.
Yeah. So let's talk about that. If somebody doesn't live in San Diego or New York, how do they find someone like your company that will be able to, because I know there's a lot of companies out there that don't really know what they're doing and they're kind of selling the dream and they're not really helping people to actually get the elements in place that are truly needed. So how can they vet, what should they really be looking for in a company?
Sure. A lot of people get concerned that they shouldn't have to spend any money to be a part of this industry, which is a misconception because just like anything, you want to be a nurse, you want to be, a political analyst, whatever. You want to be an engineer, right? You have to go to college. You have to understand, what's going on in that field. And acting is no different. You have to be prepared. So yes, you would want to pay for a coach. You want to pay a photographer to get you the right photos that you need. But like you said, you do have to use your judgment to vet these people, because there are certain companies out there that don't have, your best interest at heart. When it comes to actually getting a talent agent, you do not pay for a talent agent. They work for free essentially until you book a job. So they are making phone calls, they're sending emails, they're trying to get you out to auditions, but they don't make any money until you actually book something. So why would they take a risk on you as opposed to someone over here who's got all of this experience and marketability, and you're fresh, have never done anything before? So that's really where you've got to step up your competitive game and get with an acting coach, get the tools that you need so that you can move over to the other side and be professional. And these agents want to work with you and take up their time in sending you out to audition.
True. It parallels pageantry so perfectly.
Right.
No one receives a pageant title. You're not going to get the crown unless you've really put in the work up front.
Exactly.
You've got to have great headshots.
You don't just show up and smile. You've got to have everything down to the last detail, especially in the pageant world, down to the fitting of your dress and, just the way that you present yourself and you walk into the room, and acting is no different.
Yeah, I love that. So, okay, so let's say that somebody's got all the materials. Now they've secured an agent. Now, you mentioned that the next step is they've got to get booked for gigs. So the agency is really out pushing them, submitting them for different auditions, but then
Exactly.
They have to audition, right?
Right. So again, that's what the agent's role is. I'm on the side of development and getting you that agent, and then staying with you as you have questions to help kind of take your career to each level. The agent is just finding jobs, sending you out for jobs, and praying that you're booking. So you've got to go on these auditions, and you've got to go to these auditions prepared as well. Each and every audition is a new opportunity to book a job, get paid, and to take your career to that next step. So we have private lessons available. We do a lot of demo reels here. We do on-camera taped auditions so that we can submit our clients for some of these big roles that they get, and prepare them, to the best of our ability, so that hopefully they book in kind of working with the coach in preparation ahead of time.
Yeah, that's great. So really getting an agent, being prepared enough, I guess, to get an agent is really key in the industry, because so few people actually, in fact, there are many auditions. I know just from my experience in a short stint with an agent, there are very few opportunities that will allow people in who do not have an agent. It's very rare that you will go to an audition, and if I don't have an agent at all, and I'm just going to show up to an audition and hope that I get booked. It's so rare. They're not paying. This isn't, McDonald's isn't wanting to hire someone who doesn't have an agent. They want to go to an agent who's got the talent. They can pick the right person, right? So
exactly, when that kind of money is on the line, and it's a McDonald's commercial, and it's a $60,000 to $1 million buyout for, having certain talent in their commercial, they don't give out the address of where this audition is being held. It's given out specifically over a casting network website that exclusive talent agents and managers have access to. They are the only ones that can see these castings, and they, again, in their expertise, know which clients would be compatible for, these jobs. And that's why they're so good at what they do. But that's what they focus on, so you've just got to get your foot in the door with these guys so you can be sent to this the national work opportunities.
Absolutely. So I believe you've got the keys of how to get in. You've got the network. You're the one who knows all of these agents. You've got those connections, and your role is truly to get people exactly what they need so that the agent is so intrigued and fascinated and wants to have that talent in their network. So I think that you've got 5 specific things that agents are looking for.
Sure.
Could we dive into that?
Absolutely. And a lot of it's pretty much common sense, but it needs to be pointed out. The first thing, 100%, the number one thing over anything that an agent is looking for is personality. Okay, you've got to have that it factor. You've got to be excited. You've got to have big smiles, lots of energy. likability, right? You've got to kind of own the room when you walk into it. And if they're going to be marketing you on a mass scale and sending you to, different jobs that might not even have any relevance to one another, you've got to be just completely malleable and ready for anything. And that comes with having a great personality and having a good look. And again, a good typecast in what I mentioned earlier. But as you know, these days, anybody can work on television. You see Grey's Anatomy and ER and all of these types of shows. Everybody is on television, no matter what shape or size that you are. And so with that said, the main thing is the personality, having that come through, and everything else just falls into place. So that's the number one thing.
So, and I love what you said there, because what I gleaned from that is that you don't have to be the tall, thin, blonde.
Exactly.
To get on TV. Like oftentimes we have this misconception. And for pageant women, this is important because there's definitely a typecast for a pageant girl. She's the tall, thin, the perfect hair, the bright red lipstick. And that's sort of the typecast of a pageant girl. However, not that women don't win who fit that role, but in pageantry, it's definitely like that fit matters. But on television, there is a role for the guy that's short and fat with a big beard, or the woman that has the short pixie hair that's sort of blue on the bottom. And, there's something different.
The ears are too big for the face, and, all the freckles and everything else, a lot of times that's very commercial. And, you have your Brad Pitts and Jennifer Anistons, but those are very few and far between. On a mass scale, you've got so many different actors that are out there that have wonderful, healthy, successful careers that have all different typecasts that work in the business. So really, it's just a matter of if there's a will, there's a way, and letting your personality be the one be what stands out when you're going on auditions.
Yeah, I love that. So let me ask you this, because this is one of the things that I think a lot of talent struggles with is, well, how do I show my personality? They think, I have to be the cute one or the fun one and then they kind of come off a little bit fake. Is that something that you actually work with your talent on to really dig in? How do we get to them specifically?
Yeah, that kind of ties into my second thing of what talent agents are really looking for is a sense of confidence. And that's in knowing who you are. It's very easy to say, just be relaxed. That's actually like the number one tip in acting. Just be natural. But how do you be natural when you're nervous and you have all these people looking at you, or you're worried that, someone's thinking this over here, especially in the pageant world, you're worried about how you look and all of that. But you have to understand that there's already successful people out there, and they're looking for something new to bring to the table. They're looking for you. They're rooting for you. They don't want you to come into an audition and have a bad audition. Just like on a pageant stage, you don't want the girl to come up and completely blow it, right? You want her to come up and be so graceful and be a real competitor. And so you have to have that confidence in yourself just to be who you are. And don't worry about what you did. Just be you. And kind of going into that, just being humble and, like I said, being secure in the choices that you make and being confident in that, and having great vocal projection. That shows your personality too. You don't walk into a room like, with your head held low and you're, whispering, right? You're going to show your personality by giving someone eye contact and having great vocal projection. And like I said, big smiles, that's going to go a long way regardless. If you're not naturally this, bubbly person, you still have to turn that side of it on no matter what.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I love that. Absolutely. I love this little nugget that you just said, which was about confidence. How do you really demonstrate that confidence? And it's about being secure in the decisions that you make.
Right.
That's huge. And
you got to be unabashedly yourself, and just don't make any excuses for it. Of course you want to be humble. You don't want to be cocky. You're not coming in thinking you're all this and that, and you want to be respectful, but you just have to be confident in where you've come, where you're going, and just, let it be.
Yeah, I love that. And know that you've got, hey, that's the photographer that I chose, and I love my headshots.
Right.
That's what I wanted on my resume, and I love it. This is what I wore for this audition, and I'm happy that I made this choice.
Yeah.
You know, I think all that preparation brings confidence, because you know your decisions, you can be secure in them.
Right. And that's a huge thing. And we'll get into that as well. But it's, like you said, when you are prepared, you will feel more confident. And then this way you'll feel more secure in the decisions that you've made, because if you walk into it and you're not sure what's going to happen, then you're going, oh my gosh, I should have done this. And I wish I didn't wear that. And, you know, oh my gosh, this was showing, and, you know, and then you're just second guessing everything. So, you know, these talent agents, they want you to walk in, like I said, prepared, confident, you know what you're doing, and you look like a professional, to the point where they say, wow, I can trust this candidate, this actor, this pageant girl, whomever it is, and say, I can put them in another situation, and I feel confident in them that they're going to show up and do just what they did for me.
I love that. Awesome. Good. So what is point number 3?
Yeah. So point number 3 is determination. And we've already kind of discussed this a little bit. You know, you don't just go on one audition, you hear a no, and you're like, oh my gosh, my career is over. Blew it. I'm never going to do this again. You know, that's not how this business goes, or really anything in life, to be honest with you. So you've got to have some thick skin. You've got to be determined. And to be able to take some rejection. Just in the pageant world, you know, it's very rare a girl competes in their first pageant. Well, you probably did. You competed in your first pageant and won everything, I'm sure, Alycia. But
it's
you know,
true.
so
you lose more than you win. Definitely.
Right.
You will lose more than you win. If you want to keep winning, if you're in it to win it, then you've got to deal with the loss, because it's going to lead you to the win. Yes.
Exactly. You learn from your mistakes, and it's just like any other sport that you would play, you know, any other activity. You know, you don't just show up to a soccer game and you're like, here I am, coach, just, you know, put me in. You got to practice, you've got to study, you have to have follow through, and you're not going to win every single soccer game that you play in. So it's the same thing with this field, although getting back to that point, as to people just think it's, you know, poof, I wake up and I'm a movie star, you know. But if you look at someone like Jennifer Lopez, right, you know, she's been dancing and singing and doing everything since, you know, way back in the day. And then her preparation just met opportunity when the timing was right, and poof, you know, then she got a big break and took off. And that happens with everybody, you know, that are the real high performers. But, you know, so you kind of just inch your way up, and you've got to have that determination. And commitment. You know, you can't just have one foot in the door and one foot out, like, oh, I'm going to do a pageant, but then, you know, weeks go by before you start thinking about it again. You know, you've got to be fully committed to, you know, planning out a trajectory of saying, okay, this is, you know, when I'm going to start this is when I've got this going on, and then lead yourself to the success that you're looking for.
I love that.
So yeah, determination and dedication.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, because you're right. It's taking it seriously. You know, when we're determined to have an outcome, you create a plan for it. You have a new strategy for it. You're willing to invest time, energy, and money to see it into fruition, versus like, oh, I'd really like for it to happen, like many of the dreamers. Oh, wouldn't it be nice if, but they're not truly determined to say, okay, whatever it takes, let's do this.
Yeah, exactly. And I love that. It's funny. We always say that time, energy, and money, you've got to put that into this side of the business if you want to do well at it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So
awesome. Determination. Yep. Cool. Okay. So what is the 4th thing that agents are looking for?
Right. So the 4th thing would be professionalism. Okay. And again, we've kind of discussed this as well. You know, looking the part, having great hygiene, you know, being on time, your attitude, right? Again, getting back to being likable, right? You don't want to show up and you're like, you know, in a bad mood, and you're showing up to set, or you're showing up to an audition. It's just unprofessional, right? So you don't want to be gossiping, especially like in the pageant world, backstage. stage, or, when you're waiting in the theater and you're waiting to go on, you're not sitting there on your phones, you're not gossiping, you're professional, you're waiting for your turn, you're thinking in your head and visualizing what you're going to be doing when you get up there, and being polite, thanking people, and like we said, making those connections and leaving that lasting great first impression of, being professionals to the point where people want to continue to work with you over and over again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's good. And I like how you described that. 'Cause oftentimes, I think that people believe that because it's a fun job, because it's like exciting, they don't see it as a job. They think it's like, oh, we're all just going to play, or but no, the people that get far actually view it as a career. They think they're getting up, they're going to work. It's just like anything else. They are courteous, they are gracious, they leave personal things behind. Yeah, but the stories we hear about, like, oh, take out the blue M&Ms, of the stars.
Yes, exactly.
It like confuses us, makes us think that, like, oh, it's not a real job.
You can act like a diva. Yeah, you can act like a diva and all of that. And maybe when you get to that, point, but that stigma comes around with you. Believe me, you have to be very careful of what people say about you, and you don't want to kind of get blacklisted in the industry as well as being a difficult person to work with. And you just really want to try and be professional at all times. And it's funny because I know mostly obviously pageant girls are women, but talking about Kevin Hart and The Rock, that's some of the things that they pride themselves are as being the hardest working men in this business. Like you said, even though you're having fun, they're preparing and working as hard as they can to keep their careers going. So
I love that. Yeah.
Neat.
Oh, that's cool. Okay. So what is the fifth thing that talent agents are looking for?
Yeah. So this is kind of an insider industry thing, and it again goes about, being professional, but also to what you said before, about being available. Even though this isn't a full-time job and it's a fun job, you do have to carve out time for it. You don't know when your auditions are going to be. Things come up in this industry. It's not a 9 to 5. And although it's fun and you've got a lot more free time than, someone who's stuck at work all day and who's got to wake up at 6 a.m. and be there for 12 hours or whatever it is, your jobs come more like an independent contractor. You kind of book one job. It could be a 3-day thing. You could book something and it's a 1-day thing. And you have to be available for these auditions, for these jobs, and you have to be available for when the job is. And you've got to be extremely flexible because no talent agent wants to do all of this legwork and try and book you out for a job to find out, lo and behold, now you can't book this job or you can't be there and they've got to find somebody else, or, then they're going to lose out on their commission. It's just a mess. So you've really got to be fully committed to, like you said, treat it like a full-time job. Even though when you're starting out, it might not be a full-time job and you've got to be doing other things to supplement your income.
Mm-hmm. So how do you see that showing up for some talent that become unsuccessful? Like what things are they doing that people should not do?
Right. Probably talking too much is a big, problem, I think. You've got to know when, you say enough and then you pull back, kind of make people wanting more. Because sometimes you just spill the beans, you keep going on. And these people, like we said, time is money in this business. You've got to just move quick. They have a lot of other people to see. You might be the person that they want to cast. And they're just like, all right, great. Your audition's 2 minutes long, but they still have to audition everybody else. But you might ruin it by keep going on and on and on. So, less is more sometimes. That's one of the big things. Like I said, attitude is just huge. Always having, really upbeat and likable, relaxed attitude is big.
That's great. Good. Wow, I love this. So you're giving such great insight because this is definitely something that parallels pageantry, and yet many pageant women don't see that. Like they see it as something completely different, or that it's something that you would just trip into accidentally.
Right.
What would be some advice? Let's say that there is a pageant woman listening and she's like, yes, I've always wanted to do this, but she maybe is studying nursing or something at college right now.
Sure.
But she has this dream and she knows like, that is definitely what I want to do. But what do I need to do? Like, what should she really be focusing on if in the future she wants to graduate with a nursing degree, but then truly go into acting or modeling or something different? What can she do now to prepare herself?
Yeah, so I definitely suggest sticking with, again, before this becomes a full-time thing, develop in another area, whether it's nursing or another field that you want to get into. Don't quit your day job until you've got, something out here that's been simmering on the back burner that's now looking like it's going to take off. So I would suggest, everyone staying in school, staying in college, keeping their jobs, all that good stuff. But you don't want to wait to start developing in this area, because my clients, believe it or not, start at age 3 and they go all the way up. I've got people that I work with in their 60s. So usually the prime age, for this is between like preteen and like 25 years old. But there's no bad time to get started, but the sooner the better, because again, it's competitive and you don't want to be now jumping into this business, at 45, and all of these other people have been doing it since they were 18. So really just at least taking one acting class, kind of always doing something to build your resume, getting involved in independent films, kind of looking at some extra work, or maybe you have a friend who's opening a boutique and you're going to do some modeling for them, just different things that you can do to get involved just to stay current and to practice your craft. I think is really important to do this. And as far as the pageant world goes, there's so much crossover, like you've been saying this whole time, and you don't want to close any doors. You definitely want to develop in a lot of different areas, whether it's acting, modeling, pageantry, even singing. This way, you're so much more marketable to these talent agents and casting companies that they want to work with you, instead of just being pigeonholed just as a pageant girl. So if you are thinking about kind of getting involved in the industry in other capacities, you should definitely start dabbling in all of the other areas as soon as possible.
So what are those areas? Like if someone's got a checklist and they're like, okay, I need to maybe take an acting class, what would be the things that they need to definitely have some experience in?
Yeah, so for sure, an on-camera commercial class, learning how to sell a product. Of course, pageant girls do a lot of endorsements, especially when you win the crowns. I mean, that's all you're doing is you're, the face of the pageant. So you're constantly being pulled for different companies and being their spokesmodel. So definitely learning how to present yourself on camera and do a commercial class would be great. Auditioning technique workshop would be fabulous if you really want to get involved in the business, so that you're comfortable going on auditions and you know those do's and don'ts. If you really want to develop into acting, you certainly need to take a scene study class and a cold reading class, where you're learning how to read scripts and you're deciphering who the character is, the time and the place and the mood of whatever, film you're studying or preparing for. And then a scene study is, you're working with another scene partner. You're not selling a product looking at the camera. You're engaged and listening and reacting to that scene partner. So there's just so much, of course, that goes into acting. There's a lot of different topics that you should cover if you're really going to have, a well-rounded acting resume. But as far as the pageant girls, yes, develop in acting, but modeling is a huge thing. Like you've said, sometimes when you're doing a pageant, you might only take one walking lesson, but you really should be doing that more often, so that you are just on your toes at all times and you're graceful and you just look seamless. That's what those modeling classes will do. And again, there's so much crossover. You can do fashion shows, promotional modeling, red carpet events. There's just a lot of different things. So if you get involved with modeling, a lot of other doors can open for that. And then, singing and dancing are great too. Some of the pageants I think that you do in your circuit, I think have a talent, right?
Yeah, the Miss America system does, and many others.
Yeah. So, of course you want to develop a talent to some capacity. So, we do that side of it as well. And of course, these days, especially for the younger kids, like the Disney and the Nickelodeon stuff, yes, you've got to be a triple threat: dancing, singing, acting, modeling. You got to be able to do it all. So,
wow. So it's definitely holistic. You've got to do a little bit of everything. I know that a lot of times people are like, oh, sounds like a lot of work. If that's sounding like a lot of work to someone right now, then this might not be the industry for them.
Right. Well, I don't want to scare anybody either. You've just got to take the first step. And we're so flexible with our clients here. My main thing is always telling people to try it. You never know until you try something if you're going to like it or not. And what's the worst that can happen? You say, oh, you know what, that felt kind of weird. And, I don't want to do that again. So now I'm going to go over here. And sometimes you need that to make that decision of where you're going to go. And so, you just have to try it and just kind of throw yourself into it, because like you said, otherwise you're just going to be dreaming about it forever. And the worst thing that happens is we get a lot of adults that come to us later on down the road and they're like, I always wanted to do this, but I never knew where to go, or my parents wouldn't let me. And, I don't know. And people always told me I wouldn't be good or made fun of me. You just have to listen to that inner voice. And if it's telling you that you should try to do this, then just go for it and just try it.
Yes, absolutely. And that's how sometimes taking that action, an action step in any direction, is going to further give you clarity. When someone's not sure if if it really is just a dream or if this is something I really want to go for, you got to take a step, because you can't steer a parked car.
Right. Exactly. I love that analogy. And you just never know if you're going to be good at it too. Excuse me. I get a lot of, people that they come in with something in their mind, and I scout talent, so I see the potential in someone. That's really what my job is to do, is I kind of see the potential in each person and I can pull it out of them and then steer them in the right direction of where they're most marketable and find the right fit for them. Not every talent agent is going to be compatible with you. We talked about kind of those geeky characters, the beautiful, beautiful girls, the thin, tall models. There's different, people that coincide with different agencies. So it's really kind of finding that compatibility. But sometimes you walk into this business and you think, oh, well, all I want to do is sing. I just want to sing and be a performer. And then you actually have this natural knack for acting, or, the models might have, more of a knack for acting, or vice versa. And, so then we kind of go, no, well, you should try this over here. Have you ever thought about that? And then they're like, well, no, I never really have. And then we kind of get them over here, and then that's their fit. So again, you just got to kind of take those little steps, and then it will meander you to where you're really supposed to go.
That's great. So if someone is listening right now and they're just like, I got to get whatever she is on, like if they're just like, for a fact, I need this woman in my life, where is the best place for them to connect with you about your development?
Absolutely. So you can visit towertalent.com. You'll see our 2 locations in New York and San Diego. But you can always call us. You can go on the website. The phone number will be there for both locations. You can call us. Again, we do Skype coaching. We do taped auditions. We do professional photography. So we contract a lot of it out so that we can help you navigate and find the right people to do what you need to do to get involved in the business. Like you said, kind of vetting people out. We have a huge network of all of the professionals in the business. And then this way, all you have to do is kind of jump on board with our services, and then we'll just get you going, which is great. So yeah, I would just visit towertalent.com, and then our Facebook and Instagram are, Tower Talent Studio West is our San Diego, and Tower Talent Long Island is the New York office.
Love that. So you told me about something exciting that is coming up. Share with the audience a little bit more about this new project you're working on.
Yes, absolutely. So we're really excited. We are about to launch a styling service. It's called Tower Trends. And the reason why we came up with this is because we have been for, many, many years now styling people for different events, for pageantry. Oh my gosh, I cannot tell you how many dresses I've looked at, interview outfits I've looked at, what the girls are supposed to be packing in their suitcase to wear around the hotels and, to different events. So we have designed a full service styling service where it's everything down to, the tip of your head to your toes for any event that you're going to, whether it's an audition, whether it's just a wedding, whether you're going on a date, and you want to look your best and feel your best to present yourself in the best light possible. So, a lot of people think, oh, styling, you just pick out your dress. No, it's everything. It's, do I wear my hair up with this dress? Do I wear my hair down with this dress? What type of nails should I have with this? What type of makeup? Am I going with a dark, smoky? You've got to kind of know every little detail when it comes to styling so that you just come in looking amazing and people take notice of you, So it's really just to help our clients become their best possible, to be their best that they can be. And we're just kind of turning it into a real service now, something that we've always been doing, but just kind of opening up to the masses. And we're going to be doing a lot of virtual styling where they can actually purchase a membership, and then we're available basically at all times, or we can literally go shopping with you, which we do often, even down to going into your closet and pulling all of your stuff and helping you with that.
How fun. So
yes.
When is this going to be launched? And
Yep.
How can people discover it?
Yeah, so we are going to have a launch party on I want to say July 27th. But if you go to towertalent.com, it will be up there soon. And basically, we're going to be having a fashion show with models and kind of giving really neat insider tips for image development and styling. So you can take part in that. And if it's something that you're going, oh, wow, like you said, I need this in my life. Where do I, go? We can talk to you further at the launch party. So that'll be at the end of July.
That's so great.
Here at our San Diego location.
How exciting. Wow. Well,
yeah.
Megan, the work that you are doing for talent is just wonderful. So I just want to take a moment to honor you for all of the development process. Yeah, because it is. And the way that you described it perfectly is that some people don't even realize their own potential. And having someone like you to just see it, to call it out, and that's your operating from your area of genius, that you're able to see that in someone else and then bring it out is just wonderful. So thank you for the work that you are doing in the entertainment industry.
Oh, you're very welcome. That's really my favorite thing to do, is to help other people see their natural abilities, help them build their confidence, and to give them that motivation and support is really what I'm best at, and encouraging them, like you said, to take that first step, that, it is possible. And even though, it seems so far-fetched, or people will tell you it can't be done, you just got to go for it and try it out. And like I said, we just try and help people be their best and give them that push that they need.
And we all need
it. That's what I love. Exactly. Yep. You need somebody to throw you off the ledge.
Yeah. Well, thank you again, Megan, for being a part of the Win a Pageant podcast. Such a pleasure connecting with you today.
Thank you so much for having me. This was really fun.
Absolutely. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye.
Did you love that video? If so, would you give it a big ol' thumbs up? And also, in the comments below, I would like to know, I want to hear a little bit from you. Have you ever actually considered a career in the entertainment industry? If so, or maybe you haven't until now, but now you're like, ooh, that sounds pretty good. If so, I'd like to hear which of the tips that Megan gave were the most helpful to you. I really am curious to see how pageant women view the entertainment industry. So I look forward to reading your comments, and I will see you on a next Win a Pageant Wednesday.